another part to Steve's question was Michael Lorenzen to the Giants, because he said, I mean, it doesn't have to be a Lorenzen, just like the Tigers making a trade with the Giants, with Scott Harris being familiar with their system. We've heard the Giants in some trade rumors. Was there any prospects or players you think that could interest the Giants? I mean, the Giants do have a lot of depth at the major league level too. I mean, maybe there's a bat that maybe is not getting an opportunity. Um, could there be a potential trade with the Tigers and Giants? And if so, what are there any names that could interest the Tigers?
Yeah, the Giants was another one of the teams that I uh, did uh, some fake trades with, and I did it last week, and I've already forgotten who I had them trading for. It wasn't a terrific fit as I recall. I mean, I like some of their young talent. You'd love to get Luis Matos, right? Their center fielder, but that's I don't think that's happening. Who did I have them taking? I had them getting Carson Wisenhunt, who is a lefty pitcher who's trending up this year,
Mm-hmm.
and outfielder Grant McCray, who's really tooled up, but has some high strikeouts. They say with his strikeouts, though, it's not necessarily a chase problem. It's more swinging and missing in the zone, which is arguably worse.
That's
But
worse.
yeah, but he'd be the second piece. You'd be getting Wisenhunt, who is a lefty with. He's always had a plus changeup, but he's also his velocity is up to 94, 97 now. So those are the two names I came up with. The Giants don't have a great system, like in terms of depth. Certainly not like some of the Reds, the Orioles we're talking about. And somebody asked earlier. Excuse me if I'm interrupting. Noah Conley, he said, "Do we like Carlos Jorge?" Carlos Jorge would be great. He's a 19-year-old second baseman in the red system, hitting for power, hitting for speed, walking a ton. He'd be awesome. I don't know if the Reds would go for that for a rental, but um, yeah, I think the Giants do fit again because they're in a division race and they need some help. But I couldn't come up with a ton of. They've got a kid named Von Brown who's very. He's more like 25 now. He's got a lot of tools, but he's also a high swing and miss guy. So I don't know if it fits what we think the Tigers are looking for.
Well, I think today was what, their fifth or sixth straight loss,
The
right?
Giants.
And if they go home now, if they have a lousy week, I mean that might talk them out of doing a lot of shopping too. So we'll just have to see what
Yeah,
next few
yeah,
days bring.
and they have Conforto and Peterson right on 1 year deals, so they could end up trading them. They could
Yeah,
be that's the left-handed power bats or whatever that you like. Um,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then the last part to his question was he said Cisnero to the Rays. So kind of
yeah,
read your guys' mind there. And then he said the Dodgers reacquiring Zach McKinstry. Um, I don't really know how much trade value McKinstry would have. I mean, does he even get a top 10 prospect in anyone's? I mean, he does have years of control, but I feel like he's more of like a bench piece on like a team truly trying to compete.
yeah. I mean, McKinstry hasn't played terribly well. I mean, he's still a solid defender, basically all over, and he'll still get you some hits. But pitchers seem to have figured out that if you throw him breaking balls down and in, he can't lay off them. He swings and misses at all of them. I don't know the last time he walked. Um, but a team that could use a versatile utility guy might trade for him. I don't know that you're going to get a whole lot more for him than you gave up. You gave up what a double A reliever. You probably get something along those lines. Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe if you wanna do the buy low sell high stock thing and get a little bit more talent, then go for it. But I think at this point they're probably better off just keeping McKinstry and maybe he sticks around and plays less next year and performs better because you've got a slightly better roster overall. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see him long term being a better version of Don Kelly, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I was literally going to say that.
you got to be quick around here, John. You got to be quick. I'll
Oh,
tell you.
you read my mind.
Well, anyway, he had the home run stolen from him today. I mean, that was a really nice swing. I saw him get the triple in Kansas City, and he hit a couple other balls hard in the two games I was at. So, I mean, I think he might be coming back a little. I think he's been a little bit better the last 2 weeks. But you're right, he doesn't walk. And I saw this a month ago or more. That down and in breaking stuff is just a kryptonite to him, like you would not believe. And he hasn't done much to address it.
Yeah, I think like I was gonna say Don Kelly, just like I think he's a good clubhouse guy too. Like I remember seeing him like mic'd up. He seems like a guy that's always having fun, just a good guy to have around. And Like he's been a decent enough hitter, slightly under league average. Can play a lot of different positions. Like I think he's a guy you keep around and bring off the bench, especially when, I mean, unless there's like someone just wows you with a deal or a prospect. Yeah, I would predict he's probably going to be on the Tigers for the rest of this year and probably next year and maybe even the next couple of years after that.
But yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily rule out like a team like the Astros, right? Where you give them Lorenzen and they also would like, hey, we sure would like a lefty utility bat. You go, okay, well, sweeten the
Yeah.
deal a little bit. Let's get Joey Loperfido.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you get that and you're fine with it. But yeah, I don't see him having a huge trade value on his own. Maybe there's that Alex Avila throw in value, but John, that's a reference to when they traded Alex Avila. Who else did they trade to the Cubs?
Justin Wilson for Paredes and
Yeah,
Candelario.
there you go. That's the one. Yeah. So, and yeah, Alex Avila was like, yeah, we could use a catcher too. So, all right, here you go.
That was a good trade for. I mean, the Tigers got two pretty darn good hitters in that trade.
They did. They just didn't do a whole lot with them, unfortunately.
They bailed a year early.
Had a good year, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we're certain that there are going to be some trades coming up. I don't know. Rogelio and I are going to Erie this week. We were going to go Friday and Saturday, but there's a presidential rally on Saturday, so we're going Thursday, Friday instead.
Nice.
And then we're going to come back and try to hit Jackson Job's debut in West Michigan because that's one of the other things we didn't. There were some promotions. We mentioned Winslow Perez went up to AAA, which is good. He's been playing much better over the last month or so. And Jace Young backfilled there to get to AA Erie, which people have been wanting. And then Luke Gold went from low A Lakeland up to high A West Michigan. And Luke Gold's a guy that he really, really struggled last year and for the first month and a half this year. And then for the last 2 months, he's just been absolutely raking, hitting like 370 with power and walks, which is what you want a college guy to do in low A. So it's a well-deserved promotion for him. And then Jackson Job is that's really exciting because I don't know about you guys, but when they announced his back injury, I was pretty convinced that he wasn't going to play at all this year.
It would have been no great shock if this had been a completely lost year. And it may not be as full a developmental year as everybody would have loved to have seen, but now they're at least getting him on a track with some optimism.
Yeah, I think like the back injury could be a little worrisome, but I still think for him, he's so young. Like I don't think we need to rush him by any means. I still think he could easily be in the minors for another 2 to 3 years, and at that point, he'll be calling up Winnies. Oh, what you were shaking? Why are you shaking your head, Ufer?
Pitcher's break, dude. If he's ready, you go.